Let's take you live to Dada Morero, the city mayor, to hear what he has to say on this issue.
Acknowledge that Johannesburg has to work. It's an economic hub. We're almost contributing just around 16% of the GDP. So it's very much important that Johannesburg does work. So we're excited as the city that City Power and Eskom, through the facilitation by the minister, were able to find each other, and we will resolve these problems in the next 14 days. So around the 25th, we'll give a clear report on how we have resolved the debt issue between ourselves, which then means we'll then exit officially the court processes at that time. So that's where we are, and thank you, Minister, for the intervention and the leadership that we were able to provide to bring about a solution between City Power and Eskom.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you very much, Executive Mayor. I think it's only fair that we give members of the media an opportunity to raise questions. You indicate your name and the house that you're coming from. Can I note hands? Begin with first, number 2, number 3. I can't see on the back. I see Mr. Elan is here. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Elan is here, is one of the experts. So this media brief is very important. Thank you for joining, sir.
Not a mistake.
Can you go to number 1?
My name is Darren. I'm from Engineering News. I have 2 questions for both sides. One is, whatever the outcome of the technical assessment, sorry about that. Whatever the outcome of the technical assessment, does then COJ or does also the power commit to paying what they owe when the time comes, once the technical assessment is complete? And my other question as well is just, is there any kind of commitment from Eskom's side to respond more timeously, in timeliest fashion to billing disputes and queries, because there has been complaints that they didn't respond, which has led to some of these issues. Thank you.
Good morning, Zinuko Mhlaba from Newsroom Africa. Just 2 questions. I've heard what the minister has said in terms of the interventions that have been taken by all affected parties, but I'm not hearing any information that is giving us assurance that there is a plan to ensure that there's a collection system that is going to be tabled down to ensure that, in the future, Eskom does not cycle, collecting revenue from the citizens, because I think at the end of the day, that's the problem. Not having the ability to collect the necessary revenue from the citizens. But also, the issue seems to be centered around the accuracy of the bill itself. So how long has this been an issue, and why did it have to get to where it is now, where the 2 parties are not finding each other in terms of like, oh, 10 rand, the other person, no, we owe 50 rand. So how did you get here, and how are we going to ensure going forward that we do not have that problem? Because this independent order that is coming in, is it coming temporarily to solve the current problem, or it will also be in place? In place to ensure that in future there's no dispute in terms of who owes what, in terms of the credibility of that information. Thank you.
Alex from News 24.
Alex, News 24.
Thank you. Alex Patrick from News 24. My query has mostly been asked, but just how did we get here? Why did Eskom feel the need to go public? It appears before they went to the minister, for example.
Okay. Let's give to Mr. Elan. Mr. Elan is my namesake, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Chris Leland here from EE Business Intelligence. May I ask Eskom and the CEO of City Power, is this a billing accuracy problem? Is it
a metering accuracy problem, or is it a problem that City Power doesn't have the money? Because if it is a metering problem, there should be, on such intakes, main meters and check meters on Eskom's side, and main meters and check meters on City Power's side. And it seems to me inconceivable that a debt of 6 billion rand can be run up as a result of meter inaccuracies. It's just inconceivable over a long period of time. And it makes me think that there's another problem. There may be inaccuracy problems, but they should be resolved within a month. And this has gone on for years. Same thing with the billing problem. But it leads one to think that this is a money problem, and that there's procrastination taking place because of this. And it leads me to my second question, and that is the question of how free basic electricity money granted by the National Treasury is misappropriated by the City of Johannesburg, the biggest offender of all, and used to run its business. And that if this money given by National Treasury was used for the purpose intended, namely poverty alleviation through free basic electricity, then the financial situation of City Power would not be a few billion rand loss as it is at the moment. It would be like 3 or 4 times higher. So my question really is, this is pointing to me as a money problem. And at the moment, City Power and other municipalities are using money intended for the poorest of the poor as a poverty relief mechanism to fund their business, to provide working capital for their business. And I find this outrageous, and I'd like to hear, is this a money problem or a meter accuracy problem or a billing problem? Thank you.
Can I have it? Oh, there's one in the back. There's a hand in the back.
Here.
Thank you. Ron Findus from Netwerk 24. I just want to find out from City Power, who or what areas are fed by City Power, and then is this an issue of receiving money from residents and businesses, which leads to poor financial or cash flow at City Power that then struggles to pay Eskom, or what is it? And then also Soweto and Sandton, are they paying Eskom directly? Are they a client of Eskom, or are they a client of City Power?
Something out of job.
Maybe
Yeah, of course, quite.
Can guide us on how we proceed in the questions. I think the questions are directed to the panel, so we'll allow the panel to respond. We'll direct Minister.
We'll start with we'll do that.
Good afternoon and thank you for the questions. If I may start with, are we going to abide to the outcome of the technical assessment? I think that's the whole point, and the Minister in his opening, as part of those principles, it would therefore mean that City Power and Eskom will definitely be bound by the outcome of that. And then in terms of how did we get here in terms of the billing dispute? Again, we've had challenges that date back to 2019. There has been a good communication between Eskom and City Power. We have in the past been able to sit around the table and to resolve some of these issues. And we have seen in two parts where City Power has actually received credits. So we do have a billing accuracy problem. We did have that in the past and that did get corrected. And the one that stands now needs to be subjected to a process. And then that process will then determine whether what City Power is claiming, is it the full amount that is in error, or the amount is not in error at all. So at this point in time, City Power sits with its meters and its calculations, and Eskom sits with its meters and its calculations, and we've got a dispute. But we will be embarking on that 14-day process so that we find each other, and will definitely be bound by the outcome of all of that. The issue of do we have check meters or not? So in the past, City Power, let's concede, City Power did not have check meters in the past. There has been a concerted effort to invest in that infrastructure so that we get to have meters that assist us in validating that accuracy. And we've received that support from City of Johannesburg to make sure that we are able to install such meters. In terms of whether is an issue of do we have money or no money, I think the Minister also indicated that, truth be told, during the era of load shedding has stripped us of whatever reserves that we had, because we found ourselves with low sales but high expenditure. We found ourselves with our repair and maintenance budget being exceeded, stretching our resources, and all sorts of other challenges. So we are not saying that we are cash flush at this point. We are indicating that the money that we have is being spread quite thin, and hence the collection drive will also be intensified, because we'd like our customers to also come to the party and to pay for what we give them. I think I'll stop at this point, and other panelists will be able to respond to the other matters.
Thanks, see, maybe let me deal with the last question first. From Rowan, 17 and Soweto are supplied by Eskom. So I think that deals with that question. Just on the issue of why has this taken so long and why is it protracted, and I think it also links to the question as to why Eskom decided to take the action that it has taken. And it was precisely because it was getting protracted. We needed to get to a part where we, I think from an engineering point of view, it's fairly straightforward how you determine whether a meter is accurate, and from there the billing data, whether the billing data is accurate. That's fairly straightforward. But to get to a point whereby now we agree on us seeing the same thing, that was what has taken a while. And it is unfortunate that we had to get to the part where ministers and mayors have been involved in what it should be a straightforward technical problem. Just want to make sure I've covered. So, in terms of from the commitment from Eskom to settle billing disputes, we've got a process that talks to how we respond to customers that tell us that there's an issue with their meters or what. So that process has got timelines. Now, needless to say, if we do not get to a resolution, that's when we start getting to a situation whereby we declare disputes and stuff. And again, beyond that point, there is a dispute resolution mechanisms such as arbitration. So in terms of the contracts that we have with our customers, there is a dispute resolution mechanism that is within the contract. So it's one that needs to be exercised so that you settle dispute timely. I think I've covered most of the questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I think over and above, let me just cover one question. I think it relates to the grant allocated for basic electricity, which in essence we just received just under 300 million per annum. which we then allocate this grant through City Power to address those that are on our indigent or our extended social package, so that we can deal with the free basic electricity and allocate it to those. But we should accept that there were challenges there and there to find that some of our customers have not as yet moved into prepaid meters, which also creates a problem in terms of us having the ability to allocate the basic electricity to some of our customers. But there is work that we'll continue to do. But what we also appreciate is that this meeting has also unlocked some of the programs that we think both City Power and Eskom should focus on, especially on the charge meters and metering, so that at least at the end we don't find ourselves in this type of a situation ever. There are also issues about contracts that needs to be entered into, and this meeting has actually opened the way forward for both these entities to resolve those areas that were probably creating a bit of a problem. So I think we are on track. We'll be able to resolve this thing. But let me also re-emphasize, it's not more of a cash issue on this matter, as the city has been committing to pay Eskom. But where the city has challenges, you'd find that we are not able to pay on the exact deadline or the target date as agreed between ourselves and Eskom. There will be a 1 week delay or 2 weeks delay, depending on the cash flow position of the city. But we've always committed to ensure that our bulk services are paid and are paid on time. Thanks, Minister.
Just to say the following, I think, Chris, your questions are transversal and not only uniquely City Power related, or the question that is before us. When they answered the question, I think it's principally really a metering issue, and the way you understand it is correct. The supply side, the receiving side, confirming, validating. The technical expert will help us to do that, supported by two experts each from the respective organization, and of course that then results into the billing issues. But what are the two transversal issues that Chris has raised, which are our primary concern? Yes, there's a cash crunch facing a lot of municipalities. So I'm not Joburg specific, just in general. And you can see the ballooning of the debtors book. I said that is now growing an average of 3 billion rands per month. So you can see that they were getting into uncharted waters. We are getting into a space where Eskom really will not be in a position to absorb this. And maybe just in answering Ziniko's question, then Eskom is faced with a different problem. So unlike where they supply you and I at the household level, they can do credit control, deny you, disconnect you. But here you are talking of bulk supply. So Eskom can decide tomorrow that as part of the credit control, like what the notice said, we are going to discontinue. Now the consequences are too ghastly to contemplate. And of course, on the other side is that Eskom can't absorb it. And for as long as Eskom does not have that money, it means that the Eskom as a going concern is under significant risk and is not able to make the kind of investments that are required. Then it's a snowball effect. You get to a situation where Eskom is unable to maintain its fleet of generating units, and you go back to a situation of load shedding. So this requires an intervention beyond Johannesburg. That's the point I'm making. This is not an Eskom problem. It's a sovereign problem. So we need to do everything to resolve this question. And I had made the point that fundamentally it's a performance of the South African economy that is going to help us to address this. And of course, on the back of that, you do effective credit control measures. And of course, you would have heard also from the EM, the fact that there are delays in the payment. That only talks to a cash flow problem. So we have agreed as a collective that we are going to surface the facts. We are going to be candid about what is confronting us. It's not going to help us to kick the can down the road, because the situation is going to confront us. So the sooner we admit, the better. And then we can fashion a solution that responds to an accurate understanding of the nature of the problem. The second point that Chris has raised, which is not uniquely City Power. So Chris, you're absolutely correct. So our own studies suggest that the free basic electricity, that grant, does not find its way to intended beneficiaries. So I'm not talking about the City Power in Johannesburg, because the city, the EMS responded to that. The bulk of that money supports operational, if you like, costs of the various municipalities and or entities, where it's an entity that is receiving that money, is able to pass it through to the intended beneficiaries. So one of the interventions we'll be making, and we'll announce it as part of the comprehensive set of interventions, the accelerated rollout of smart meters will make it possible for us to go direct to the beneficiary. So the money does not go through any additional channel. So the money doesn't land with the municipality, and the municipality then extends it to the intended beneficiary. By definition, a smart meter you can preload, and people are able to get their allocation. And then you are undermining leakage, you are undermining misallocation of that money. And in fact, you are able to sustain the poor. And of course, there's a different conversation we're having there. On the quantum of the free basic electricity, we've been providing 50 kilowatt per hour since 2003, I think, 21 years into the life of that. We are still having it at 50 kilowatt hour. So we're working on that revision. And of course, that upward revision can only be an upward revision. Has got implications on the fiscals, because this is not free in a sense that it's free. Someone is carrying the can. So it's those that are taxpayers are the ones who are subsidizing the poor. It's the nature of the state. Peter, take from Peter to pay Paul. Really, I mean, I'm trivializing a complex balancing act, but fundamentally it's about that. The national fiscus collect, and principally that fiscus, the national purse, is those who pay taxes, and then there's a reallocation of that money. And that, in inverted commas, free basic electricity, at least to the intended recipient, is funded somewhere. So when there's an upward revision, it's got implications on that budget allocation. I don't want to preempt the budget allocation because it's an exclusive domain of the Minister of Finance. So if we have a case to make, we'll make it through the necessary channels in government. That it can be the state can afford it, it's a question that will be answered later. But I think we should be in a position to, if you like, propose what we think should be that upward revision. And most importantly, how it gets to the intended recipient, so that to avoid the kind of issues that Mr. Yarand has identified. Thanks.
Thank you very much.